One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when moving to Salem, Oregon is that they assume that every neighborhood is basically the same. They go online, fall in love with the pictures that they see, they love the kitchen, the backyard, the price, but what they don't realize is that the neighborhood may not be a right fit for them. And I completely get it. I was in that similar shoes about 4 years ago when we were deciding to move to Salem, Oregon. And of course, the first thing we did was jump online to look at homes, really not knowing enough about the neighborhoods to make the right decision. Today, I'm ranking Salem, Oregon's neighborhoods based on what actually matters when you're buying a home here: location, housing, convenience, lifestyle, resale potential, and what type of buyer each area fits best. And stay to the end because that's what I'm going to share, the area that has the best combination of location, lifestyle, and overall long-term value. Now, the ranking system for Salem neighborhoods isn't really about being good or bad, because remember, this is about what's best for your lifestyle. We're going to base this on a number of other factors that I really think home buyers should value more and do value more once they make the move here. We're looking at home values, housing options, convenience, commute patterns, amenities, neighborhood character, resale considerations, and of course, lifestyle fit. Salem has a lot of different neighborhoods. Yes, we're a city of 170,000 people. It takes about 30 minutes to get across town. So really geographically, it's not a big city, but it is made up of a lot of different neighborhoods and a lot of different pockets within those neighborhoods. So again, as we go down these rankings or tier systems that I'm putting together in this video, it doesn't mean the last tier is bad. We're just doing this ranking system based on lifestyle fit and other amenities that you're going to want to consider when buying a home here when you move to Salem, Oregon. We're going to be starting off with tier 4, and these are areas where buyers need to do more research, maybe be a little bit more careful before buying into this area. Now, these areas aren't automatically places that you should avoid. It's really where you need to slow down, do a little bit more due diligence, and really research the area house by house, street by street, because it is going to make a difference. And the specific neighborhoods that you need to be more careful of and do a little bit more research are the older neighborhoods, the more established neighborhoods in Salem, Oregon. Specifically, just to the south of downtown area, which is Bush's Pasture Park or South Central Salem, and just north of downtown Salem, which is going to be Grant and Highland. Now, the reason why this is on this list in this particular tier to be careful of is because older homes, well, you can get caught off guard, and a lot of buyers do, unfortunately, when they're not doing their due diligence. They realize they come to Salem, Oregon, really want that Pacific Northwest charm. They find the Victorian homes, the bungalows, the craftsmen, beautiful neighborhoods. A lot of people take care of them in landscaping, tree-lined streets all throughout these neighborhoods. It really is that quintessential feel of the Pacific Northwest, and I get the attraction. I was attracted to it before we moved here and made the decision on where to live as well. But what sometimes clouds judgments is you got to see past that old world charm, the old housing charm. These homes are 100 years old. Some are a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, like 90 years old. And they can become with real problems, especially when it comes to maintenance. Now, there are certain things that will be revealed during a home inspection or when you walk through. You can certainly see if that furnace is old, the water heater is old. You can see things like that. You can tell if the roof is deteriorating in many, many ways. But some of the things you're not going to be able to see, and that is like the electrical, the sewer line, the plumbing. A lot of these homes may have had some cosmetic changes or even some big systems changed out. But what's inside those walls? I've seen plenty of homes that come with old knob and tube wiring, which an insurance will automatically reject and will cause a problem during the transaction. And then when it comes to plumbing, you want to make sure there's a lot of corrosion not going on. Certainly do your sewer scopes. You do your sewer scopes for any home you're going to buy. But especially in these older neighborhoods, there can be a lot going on, a lot of piecemealing when certain fixes were made. Foundations are a big deal, and you're going to find a lot of basements in these types of homes. So getting down there, really looking, searching around what those basements are like. If there's a musty smell, any types of water intrusion, look for sump pumps. These older homes are known for issues like this. Now, if you're someone that's willing to take these on, by all means, these homes are amazing, and I get why people would want to buy them and live in them. And the areas are gorgeous too. Again, tree-lined streets, old craftsman homes, people living in the neighborhood kind of have that like-mind feeling of keeping that old world charm in these neighborhoods. Another thing to consider with these older neighborhoods that I mentioned is the traffic and the congestion. Given that they are closer to downtown, and a lot of times these neighborhoods are kind of used as cut throughs and pass throughs to get to downtown from other areas when you have a little bit of a backup on maybe some of the bigger streets in the surrounding areas. So just something to get used to. Also, especially in the northern portions, Grant and Highland, the streets are very narrow. So if you have cars parked on either side of the street, there's only one car going in between in between that. So one car has to pull over for another to go through. You feel just a lot more closer to your neighbors. The cars are just that much more closer to your home. So these are things that you're going to want to be aware of before deciding to move there. So again, you're looking online, you see these awesome homes, and they are really cool. I love going inside them. They have some really cool finishes, especially ones that's been well preserved. But anyway, digressing a little bit. You go online, you see these awesome homes, you're like, yeah, I want to live in a house like this, in a neighborhood like this. But then when you get here, you may be a little bit surprised. So again, just takes more research, slowing it down, making sure that that house and the neighborhood, the street, is going to be the correct decision when buying a home here in Salem, Oregon. Now, the benefit, of course, in living in these areas, it's super convenient to the downtown area for all your entertainment, all the cool events that they have downtown, restaurants, a little bit of shopping. You're really close, biking distance, few blocks away you can get to easily, or a very short drive. The home prices can vary here. If you are in the northern portions like Grant and Highland, it's going to be less expensive. Sometimes in the upper threes, but more like 400s, maybe lower $500,000 range. Now, if you're talking about South Central or Bushes Pasture Park area, you can get in for maybe the upper fours all the way up to sixes and even sevens, depending on the size of the home and how much it's been updated. So that's around the price points you can be expecting, right around there. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit more affordable with some convenience, this next area, this next tier is going to be something you're going to want to look into. One thing I want to point out is that the best neighborhood really depends on your own personal situation. It's very subjective. What's good for me may not be good for you, and vice versa. Good for your friends, good for your family, again, may not be the right fit for you. And so that's where I come in. If we haven't met, I'm Dave Fein. I'm a local real estate agent here in Salem, Oregon. Just like you, I relocated to Salem, Oregon. So I come from that perspective. I understand a lot of the concerns and questions that you may have. If you are thinking about buying a home when moving to Salem, Oregon, make sure you're reaching out to me. Contact information is popping up or in the description below. I'd love to have that conversation with you and see how I can best help. This next tier number 3, we're going to be talking about a neighborhood which offers more affordability along with convenience, and we're going to be talking about North or Northeast Salem. A lot of buyers that I help who are relocating to Salem, Oregon, want to buy in an area where they're basically not going to be house poor. They want to make sure they're budgeting right for themselves, that they can buy a home and yet still have plenty of money to live their day-to-day lives, maybe take a vacation or put some more money into a house, remodel it, make it their very own. And that's why they choose North Salem as a great entry point when moving to Salem, Oregon. It's also really convenient. When you live in North Salem or Northeast Salem, you have access to everything that you need and would want. You are super close to Interstate 5 freeway, so if you're someone that commutes into Portland or Eugene or anywhere in between the Willamette Valley corridor using the Interstate 5 freeway, really easy access. Wherever you live in North or Northeast Salem, you're about 5, maybe 7 minutes away from getting onto that freeway. Also, all the amenities that you would want and need are right there in that part of Salem as well, mainly around Lancaster and Lancaster Road. This is where you're going to find your supermarkets, your grocery, I said supermarkets, grocery stores, sure, smaller grocery stores, also restaurants, professional services. We have the Willamette Town Center in this area as well. That's Salem's outdoor big box shopping area where you've got Home Goods, you've got Best Buy, Hobby Lobby, Sierra, and some other big box shops like TJ Maxx and Foot Locker. You have a Barnes and Noble out there. It's a newer Barnes and Noble. You have the Regal Theater out there, and actually across from the Willamette Town Center, you have Salem's one and only Target. There is another Target. It's in Kaiser. People in Salem use that one all the time, but this happens to be right in that north or eastern portion of Salem. Also, this area is really convenient to the farmland. And I bring this up because a lot of people who are moving to Salem come here for the peace and quiet, wanting to take advantage of being out in nature, having that agricultural experience, kind of that farm to table experience. Or if that's not something that's quite on your radar, I promise when you move here, it will be, because it just kind of becomes part of your lifestyle here. We go out to the farms constantly during you-pick season, where we're picking our own fresh fruits like blueberries, raspberries, cherries, apples, and pears, and more. And so it's really close to that. Again, you're maybe 10, 15 minutes away from some of my favorite farms. Also, great fall activities, fall festivities at some of these farms. They open up really cool spots, great entertainment for yourselves, for your kids if you've got kids. Pumpkin patches, corn mazes, hay rides, games, live music, great food, and so much more. And when you're living in this section of Salem, you're really only about 10, maybe 15 minutes away from downtown. So again, come into downtown and have fun with the entertainment and the restaurants over there. It's because, again, everything's really, really close. One thing to note, though, when you're considering this area is that there is some unincorporated areas that sit within Salem. So what that means, like in Hayesville or even the parts of the Four Corners, there, if you look at a map of Salem, you'll see it kind of gets cut out and gets jagged lines and whatnot, and the city kind of surrounds these unincorporated areas. And when you live in these unincorporated areas, you are not technically in the city of Salem. You are part of Marion County in this case. And so while you'll have to check on different services like city services, but the big thing is, as far as government goes, you won't really have a voice in the local elections. So like the city council and the mayor, your focus would be more on the county commissioners, and again, police and fire. Different police would be sheriffs instead of city police, and so forth. So certain things to keep in mind when looking in that area, because you're not going to really know what until you look at a map of whether that house is in the actual city or the unincorporated area. Now let's talk about affordability, because I mentioned it's going to be one of the more affordable areas. Here you can get into houses in the mid $300,000 ranges, and they go up, of course, up to into the $500,000 ranges. There are some new construction areas as well that you can get into. It's really a lot of mix of kind of mid-century homes and new construction, but this is going to be one of the more affordable areas in all of Salem. And as buyers move up in budget, they start looking for neighborhoods that have a stronger long-term appeal and a great combination of lifestyle and convenience. And the reason is just the sheer geography of it. We are literally separated by a river from the rest of Salem here in West Salem. You have to cross the bridge, the Marion or Center Street Bridge, depending on which direction you're going on. But you have to cross that bridge to get into this portion of Salem. And it doesn't have maybe everything that you're going to be looking for, although it does have everything you need. And for me, it had everything we wanted. We love the feeling of being separated. When we moved here, we wanted to feel like we were still part of the city, close enough to all the conveniences, yet be far enough away and outside of it to where we felt like we can breathe a little bit more, have a little bit more space, a little bit more peace, a little bit more quiet. And so if that's something that's appealing to you, then West Salem might be a right fit for you. West Salem is known for its hills and its views and a little bit of an elevation here. So it does have a lot of hillside properties where you do have a lot of sloping yards. You can also find a lot of homes that are on flat lots, even on a hill. Now, if that is something of concern for you to have a sloping yard, have no fear. There are plenty of houses and lots here that have flat yards in West Salem. One of the things that was really appealing for my family and I were the actual views. When you're in West Salem, from a lot of different streets and a lot of homes, they have views of the Cascade Mountains. So you're always seeing those snow-capped mountains like Mount Hood and Mount Jefferson. And it's always nice just to have that kind of in your background. It's really cool. Something about it is refreshing. It gives you that sense of space. It feels like you can breathe a little bit more. And then you have views of the valley. You've got views of farmland, views of Willamette River in some West Salem areas. And so I think there's something pretty special about that. So if that's something that's appealing to you, then West Salem is definitely a place that you should check out. West Salem is also another neighborhood where there's a combination of established neighborhoods and newer construction. In fact, there's a lot of newer construction that had gone on over the last 5 years or so and continue to go on. There is this flat area kind of by the commercial sector wedged in between Wallace and Edgewater, where you're going to find more of your older homes like bungalows and craftsmen's. Now, these homes are a little bit smaller, a little bit more congested in that area, but it's also the more affordable areas specifically when it comes to West Salem. Another cool thing about living in West Salem is that you are truly adjacent to the Willamette wine country. I mean, there's literally a winery that's just a couple of blocks from me, and then just go beyond that 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, and you have another 20, 30 wineries. There's so many wineries around the West Salem area. So if that's something that you would want to make part of your lifestyle, or just being kind of adjacent to open farmland and vineyards, then again, West Salem could be a great fit for you. We also have a lot of cool parks here. We have Orchard Heights Park right in the center of this area, and there's Wallace Marine Park that runs along the river as well. Now, I mentioned that you are separated by the river, and if you are someone that wants to be really close to the big box shops like a Costco or a Walmart or a Target or more, then this might not be the right fit for you, because it's going to be about 20 to 25 minutes away. You've got to cross the bridge and go in to other parts of Salem. Now, if you're someone that goes into downtown, like we do pretty frequently, it's only really about 10 minutes away, which is really nice and super convenient. Again, we thought the area was away from it all, but really close. Now, I will say, the big knock on West Salem is the bridge. Now, I personally don't find it a big deal, but I moved from a large city. I was used to sitting in traffic for hours at a time, which was horrible. One of the reasons I moved away from there. But if you're someone that's coming from a mid-sized city or a smaller city, this traffic may bother you. For me, it adds around an additional 7 or 10 minutes to my commute to maybe cross the bridge when during the rush hours in the morning and in the later afternoon / early evening. But this could be an issue for some people. And in general, when people in Salem talk about the bridge or West Salem, the first thing you're going to hear is, oh, the bridge, I'm not going to cross the bridge. And if you have friends that live in South Salem and you want to have them come over, you're undoubtedly going to hear something about the bridge. For me, I cross it over multiple times a day, all throughout the day, and have no issues. Without traffic, the bridge takes literally 30 to 45 seconds to cross that bridge. It is a small bridge. Now, I will say, when something happens on the bridge, whether it's an accident or some sort of lane closure due to work, it will back up and it will cause a big traffic jam and could cause issues of actually getting across the bridge. And when that happens, you're kind of stuck here in West Salem, although there are 2 ways to get out of it if you're still trying to get into Salem. Certainly you can get into other parts of Oregon by not having to cross that bridge there. But to get into Salem, you could skirt around that bridge by taking a ferry, which is going to be about 20 minutes north along Wallace Road. That's going to take you out into the northern portions of Kaiser. Inconvenient. Or you can go down to 22 and head into Independence. Again, 25-ish minutes to get there. Or you're going to cross the bridge and go into a really deeper part of South Salem. Again, inconvenient. So the reality is when that bridge gets backed up, it can be pretty bad. And then it backs up the rest of Wallace and Edgewater, which are the 2 big streets going north-south and east-west. And then, of course, it infects some of the interior streets. Now, I will also say, I mentioned a lot of new construction in this area. They are building a lot of multifamily apartments and condos and townhomes. And that's going to add a lot more people, a lot more cars, a lot more traffic. Now, we don't know the exact effects on that, but they're not making the bridge wider and they're not adding a bridge anytime soon. So it will add to the traffic that we have here. For me, totally still worth it. I'm good with it. I still want to be kind of away from it all. I like this part of town. It feels right. It feels good to me personally. Again, I have friends that would not live in West Salem. They don't like the feel of it. But people that live here, it's kind of a tight-knit community. When you live in West Salem, there's kind of a camaraderie behind that. It's hard to explain unless you actually live here. But there is a connectivity, a connection that people here in West Salem have. Again, I think part of it is because you have us and the rest of West Salem. Anyway, those are my thoughts on West Salem, because I think, again, you should be aware of the current traffic and what is to come, just in case that is an issue. But the pros, to me, outweigh the cons. We have reached Tier 1, and this is going to be the neighborhood that I actually get asked about the most. Actually, I'm going to throw in 2 neighborhoods in this particular tier because I do get asked about them both almost equally. And then after this, I am going to talk kind of a hidden gem, a specific area that a lot of people don't necessarily know about until either it's revealed here on my videos, or I talk to them about it, or they come here and do a little bit more research. So we'll get to that in a minute. But before then, let's stick with Tier 1. The first neighborhood in this section is going to be South Salem. Now, South Salem is probably a great combination of what people are really looking for when they're moving to Salem. You can find areas that you feel a little bit away from it all, a little away from the hustle and the rush. Kind of gives you a West Salem vibe, but yet really convenient to a lot of amenities, including big box shopping. You kind of have it all in the South Salem area. You have access to all the amenities like your grocery stores, your restaurants, professional services. I mentioned the big box shopping. You have easier access to Interstate 5 freeway. That is something that you don't have easy access to when living in West Salem. But in South Salem, you have easy access to those as well. Great commercial corridors like along Commercial, Liberty, and Kubler. Even Pringle and Battle Creek is going to be ways to get through to downtown. And so you have a lot of conveniences here. Also, a lot of great parks. You have Brian Johnson Park, you have Nelson Park, you've got Mento Island Brown Park, which is kind of South Salem, but also city center adjacent. Riverfront Park is truly city center adjacent. Both of those are great parks. But anyway, you've got a lot of great neighborhood parks. And a big reason why it's so popular with people moving into Salem is because it gives them kind of everything they're looking for when moving to the city, and they don't maybe feel as isolated or disconnected when living in West Salem. By the way, I forgot to give you the West Salem price range. Really, you're probably going to be in the mid fours all the way up to 600, 700, 800,000. Even they've got acreage properties and big properties that go into the millions, but for the most part, between that 450 to 800 and change thousand range. It's a big range, but just know for West Salem, that's what you're getting into. Now, again, going to South Salem, since we're talking about prices, about the same thing. You can get into the high threes depending on certain parts of South Salem, but mainly you're like 425-ish, mid fours, and then it goes up from there, 5, 6, 700, $800,000 homes, depending on what specific part of South Salem, how much house you're getting, and maybe even the land. So South Salem is made up of a large number of sub-neighborhoods. There is a particular piece of Salem, it's called South Salem, the South Salem neighborhood, but when people talk about South Salem, they generally talk about a larger region, maps popping up, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's made up of Sunny Slope, Morningside, Fay Wright, south of Kubler, Croissant Mountain, Bailey Ridge, Illahee Hills, and South Salem itself. And so, yeah, there's a lot of these sub neighbors, South Gateway, and all of these neighborhoods make up the greater South Salem area. You're going to find a variety of homes, a lot of mid-century homes here, also homes built in the 1980s, 1990s, and then there is new construction as well that's going on. In fact, there's a few projects that are just completing, and there's even projects that are just starting. So if you do want more information about that, definitely hit me up. Happy to share that information with you as well. But you get a good mix of different types of houses, different feels for those sub neighborhoods within South Salem. So again, it's going to have an appeal to many, many people. In fact, I find myself going to South Salem very often. My favorite market there is Trader Joe's. I love it there. They're opening up another one in Kaiser. That's a whole nother video. But Trader Joe's is out there, and they've got a few other some natural grocery stores that I like going to, in Life Source and Natural Grocers. Costco's out that way, so I head that way too, probably once a quarter or so. A couple restaurants that I like going to, and some of the parks. It's just, I'm in South Salem quite often, even though I live in West Salem. It takes me about 25 minutes to kind of go between those two neighborhoods. Now, the next neighborhood in this tier, it's a neighborhood that I get asked about often, is a neighborhood that we already talked about, and that is the Bushes Pasture Park South Central area. So I'm not going to get into the details like I did earlier in this video, but just know that it is a highly sought after neighborhood. And again, I think it's just because of that quintessential feel. People jump online, they see what that neighborhood looks like, and they're like, yep, that's what I'm envisioning when living in Salem, Oregon. What I forgot to mention, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, so if you stayed this long, awesome, you're going to get some information about Bushes Pasture Park, that South Central neighborhood that the others didn't get if they left the video early. That is Bushes Pasture Park. That neighborhood is anchored by a massive park. It's a beautiful park with walking trails. They've got they've got festivities there, like the Summer Art Festival. They've got open space. They've got a beautiful rose garden, historic home. They have sports fields and courts there as well. Little trail that also takes you along a creek. They have soapbox derby racing there, which is kind of cool. It's filled with oak trees, so a lot of shade. It's a beautiful, beautiful park that is right in the center and the heart of that neighborhood. So again, another big reason why people absolutely love living in that neighborhood and seek it out when they first move to Salem, Oregon. This is the section I'm going to talk to you about, the hidden gem, the neighborhood that people really aren't really paying, they're not paying attention to. They maybe see it on a map. And that's really the neighborhoods that are south of Kubler in South Salem. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think it's a great fit for a lot of people looking to move to Salem for a certain lifestyle. It's a good combination of affordability when it comes to South Salem, long-term growth when it comes to Salem, and just convenience to everything that you would want. So the south of Kubler area is a great spot because you're about as far south as you can go in South Salem without getting outside the city limits and into farmland and county lines. And the homes here are a great combination of, again, mid-century, and there's a lot of new construction going on here. So you've got different types of styles of homes that have been built in this area. And so I think it's a great balance of being far enough away from kind of the city center, some of the congestion that Salem has. Now, I say congestion a little loosely, especially again if you're moving from a large city, but just away from kind of the buzz of the city, and yet again really convenient. When you're south of Kubler, you're 5 minutes, 7 minutes from anything that you need. You're about 15 minutes out of downtown, and you're just really close to all things that are convenient in here in Salem. It's always fun for me to help people explore being south of Kubler, because again, when they're searching online, a lot of people, again, if you're not familiar with Salem, you're really not sure exactly where to look, what neighborhoods are going to fit. And when I talk about south of Salem specifically, it seems to really resonate with a lot of people. Once we tour the area, tour the neighborhoods, tour the homes, it starts to be a great fit for a lot of people relocating to Salem. It's a good, again, as I mentioned, it's a good balance. You're not getting these older historic homes. You're not feeling so isolated, less congestion, as I mentioned. So again, that balance, this area, highly recommend taking a look at if that's appealing to you. Now that you have this overview of the larger neighborhoods in Salem, Oregon, it's probably time to kind of narrow it down and get a better feel for some of the smaller sub-neighborhoods or micro-neighborhoods within each of these regions. And if that's something that is interesting to you, make sure you're connecting with some of these videos that are popping up right now. Search my channel and you'll get a more closer look at a lot of these different types of neighborhoods where you get more detailed information. And again, if you are someone that's moving to Salem, Oregon, thinking about buying a house, make sure you hit me up at the contact information popping up. Again, I know what you're going through. Probably have similar questions, similar concerns, that overall feeling of relocating to a new city and kind of starting fresh. I get all that. That's why I make these videos. Again, I am happy to have these discussions with you. So if you're buying a home, moving to Salem, Oregon, I will look for your phone call